Welcome back, me and more lights to another edition of Meanderings. We are outside, out in the park, philosophizing. It is deep conversations with lighthearted touch. Definitely lighthearted touch today. Juan on this side of the mic.
Karen here.
We actually just got done having conversation for around half an hour with Milhara.
Milhara. Shout out.
Sydney. And do appreciate she stopped by, had a bit of a chat while I was actually waiting for you. And she sort of came up and wanted to have a bit of a conversation, and really, once again, put me in a thought of, that's cool. This is the sort of people that I would want to have conversations with. It's the sort of stuff that I'm having conversations with on the podcast. It's the sort of people that I want to interact. So, I mean, just straight up first, this is a bit of a shout out. If you're someone in Brisbane and you come up to us and, you kind of listen to us already, or you're interested in that, like, yeah, absolutely appreciate coming up and having that conversation and connecting. It's always good fun. And if you you want to, so there's Milhara or anybody else, I'm just going to push it right now that come join the Discord as well. So you can find it through the website, or we put it on the links as well to a lot of places that you can listen to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Come join in, come and have a chat, and you can then get connected to the rest of the Mere Mortals world as well. One item I just wanted to kick off for Meanderings today on my mind was injuries or health, just in a broad concept. So I've talked about it in the past, I think, on injuries from like fitness, right? I've injured my leg, I better take like 2 weeks off. I've hurt my back, I better take 3 weeks off. I shouldn't be deadlifting this heavy. So from a lifting fitness perspective. However, one thing that I've happened the last couple of weeks for me, so one, obviously I got like a mole sort of removed in the top corner here and getting all the assessment for it done, but I essentially had a Band-Aid, and I get a lot of questions from people like, oh, what do you got this Band-Aid on for, right?
You should have been saying this is for the Neuralink, that's where it goes in.
I should have sent that. So I was kind of like started...
Ask me what 563 times 28 is.
Yeah, I'll guess it for you. Now, that, not that it was a direct pain to have, but it did, I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't lift for like a day or two. I've had like a couple of ants on me now, like today. Even Milhara, when she was here before, she was like, you've got this ant that's about to like bite you. And I was like, thank you very much.
I just flicked an ant off one, which is why he stopped talking about whatever. Correct,
yes. So the other thing that started happening, and I already told you about this, but for the listeners at home, actually was closing my car door today and essentially just scraped through the back of my calf, at the bottom of the calf.
Let's take a photo.
I took a good chunk out of my like skin and actually quite a bit of like meat as well. I was like, what in the world? I kind of looked down and I looked at my calf and went, why is this like black? Like this, it was black. And I was like, why is it black? And then I saw it was like oozing blood out of it. I was like, whoa, what the hell?
Well, sorry, just to completely derail this, but
good.
On Twitter last night, there was like Brisbane was trending.
Brisbane, yeah.
And I just clicked on it. I was like, all right, see what's in here. Oh, okay, it's, some dude masturbating. That's nice. Oh, okay, it's like a sex worker chick advertising she's in Brisbane.
Okay.
Oh, okay, this is the video of the guy who got stabbed and died in
the Fortitude
Valley. I think it was like a couple of months ago. Oh, man, it is a horrific...
Gruesome, yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I've seen a still, like a photo of it, but I'm assuming it would be gruesome.
It is absolutely awful. This guy's just videotaping and, the weird thing is the guy with the knife isn't the attacker. He's kind of backing up. And this guy, he must have been drunk out of his mind because he just waltzes up to a dude with the knife, and the guy with the knife just takes a step forward, puts it in his neck, and then he's like, what? Holding his neck, and it is just gushing out,
yeah.
Then he collapsed. And the weird thing is, whoever this person is filming is just filming I'm guessing their friend dying. I'm not sure. It could have just been a random person, but sorry about just you talking about blood.
That is good, though. That is good because it does go into another point as well.
Yeah, minor injury.
Minor injury, no, but it does go to another point, actually, because blood. So, and yesterday I was sitting at Garden City, actually, just having some food. I was sitting there, and I kind of feel like something on my mouth, like almost like snot's coming out of my nose. I'm like, and I'm with someone, and I'm like, oh, look at this, like, what the hell is this? And they're like, look at me like, well, what the hell? And it was like a nosebleed, but this nosebleed was so hardcore that it was like all over down my mouth, into my like shirt and stuff like that. I was like, what the hell? Now, I'm terrible with blood, so I was like, oh man, I'm dizzy looking at the blood. Not from the happening, but looking at the blood.
Yeah.
So I hate blood. But in all of this, it kind of all happened in kind of like quick succession. And it made me think, not so much in avoiding things to prevent that, because that's just life. That's going to happen. But it did almost resharpen some of my thoughts that I've been having, because we'll have releases already in Musings, and I talked about my annual goals, right, for the future.
Yes. And so the last week.
Yeah, and so one of the things for the annual goals was there's a particular thing that I want to do for 30 years old, and there's a particular thing that I want to do for 100 years old. I think I might have ridden
ambitious.
I think I might have ridden.
You're not going to make it losing all that blood, man.
I actually think I might have ridden 150, not 100. So I think it's 150. But the reason I wrote that, I called it as a project. It's like called the project 30 and project 100. I'm pretty sure, or 150. Got to check my notes. But the reason I said that and it resharpened, I was like, okay, there's things I want to do that if I was to be 100. I want to be capable to doing, and there's like all these different things and permutations that you can think of. But I was listening to The Drive by Peter Thiel, and it just recently they were talking about Zone 2 training and a few other things about long-lasting health, but they were specifically calling out the perilous the cliff that you fall off at 75 years old or around that age. So basically, you hit 75, and then things really deteriorate quick. So you might be 70, 71, 72. And you're still getting up off the ground quite easily by yourself. And then after that, like, it is a real game changer all around that sort of time frame. So I guess those little aspects of it just kind of, it made me focus back on that goal that I set. And I went more so on the factor of, okay, there's other aspects of health and fitness and life that I also have to be wary of. So let's go with the example of, I've cut my calf with the car. Okay, that's not going to impact me long term. However, if I'm doing little silly things in other areas of life, probably now and moving forward, that I'm harming myself with, it's like, okay, that actually might build up now and be much more something that I'm going to start seeing or experiencing than maybe when we were younger. Have you yet come into your experience now that you think of anything in that way, where you're like, oh, I might drink this green juice, or I might have this extra vitamin because I can see that some effects to it are going to start peaking their heads over at 40 years old. And so another example while you think about it it'd be my lower back. So I know for me, my lower back has always had like some injury that I had when I was like super young. If I deadlift a lot, it plays up. If I squat a lot, it plays up. Sometimes I'll just push through it. I'll just be like, okay, that's fine. I can push through that pain. I can still lift it. But I'm starting to teeter over the edge of, okay, I'm not going to do that extra squat or that extra deadlift today, or I will really back off the weight, because this is going to compound in like 20 years and I'm actually going to be like really crippled on my back, because if I'm deadlifting super heavy, like that's just going to happen. That's absolute, like, known that your bones and your hips and your joints are going to feel it if you're always lifting like really heavy for a long time. That's reasonable to assume, right? So I guess like that's one perspective. Another one where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm starting to teeter towards Project 100 as opposed to Project 30. But there's a bit of a dichotomy there for me, and we've talked about it more in musings. So,
yeah, okay.
What about for you?
So, well, just first of all, for you, annual goal coming up, it'll be number 1, not to pick your nose so hard.
Yeah.
That's the...
that should be one, yeah.
I view this stuff more as a non-doing of things rather than doing of things.
Non-doing
and I think I've kind of always said this. I don't take vitamins. I don't particularly seek out ways that I think... when I listen to people like Aubrey de Grey? Aubrey de Grey. He's a life extension person. Another one will be the Australian guy.
Yeah, we're talking about Aubrey Marcus, but Aubrey de Grey maybe.
Yeah, you're the one who's mentioned him to
Aubrey
me
de
the
Grey.
First time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Let me look this up. Yes, continue.
Anywho, the also look up the Australian guys into longevity. I can't remember his name. When I hear them, I just go like, oh, you're taking statins because you think this might work. Have some benefits. I'll put it up on the actual.
Yeah, Aubrey de Grey.
You're taking statins, which because you think this is going to have. It's been shown in some studies that this does this, and extends. I'm more. If I'm going to put any effort into it, it's going to be avoiding things. So, for example, I think it'd be cool to skateboard. I've always had kind of fascination with it. When I was a youngster, a lot of my friends in the cul-de-sac skateboarded. I kind of would be with them as well, but I never owned my own, for example. But I would play on theirs and whatnot. I think it'd be cool now to do kickflips and to be able to skate and whatnot. But I've always had some pretty bad problems with my ankles playing soccer. I was very prone to rolling them.
Yep.
Is it now worth it to do that, to learn that thing? I think it's probably best to avoid that sort of thing. And that's how I sort of see just most general stuff. It's better just to avoid the really bad ones. If I can invest any energy and I'm I'm not going to put in much because I don't really want to live to 150. That doesn't particularly appeal to me. I'd rather spend that energy in just avoiding stuff which I think is going to be bad.
Gotcha.
I had a little bit of a sugar problem. All right, it's probably best to try and avoid some sugar, get used to doing that. So,
well, actually, one thing that was got said in the recent podcast that Peter Thiel was talking about in the drive, and dude, I'll recommend to any immortal out there, if you want to listen to a podcast about health, longevity, really deep science about exercise and the like, that podcast is amazing. But be prepared to have your mind like just absolutely. We might call ourselves mere mortals. That's like beyond mere mortals in terms of fitness and exercise and the like. It's just ridiculous.
Which podcast was that?
The Drive by Peter Thiel.
Okay.
Really good, but incredibly detailed.
Yeah. The Aussie guy I was talking about was David Sinclair as well.
David Sinclair. Ah, yes. But the one that I had in my mind that they talked about in that Drive podcast was, because you said the Project 150. Not so much that I want to live to 150 for the sake of living to 150. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get there, awesome, whatever. But they said something which I was like, that's what I want to do. It's like, live a long, healthy life and then die quickly. I was like, I love the way they said that. So I was like, awesome, I want to live a long, healthy life.
Yeah, well, no one wants to die slowly. I shouldn't have laughed at that.
But when I get to I guess what they were saying there was, well, die slowly in the sense of like you die in a couple of years. But the other one was, getting to 60 years old and not being able to get up off the ground by being brittle, by being fat, by being slow, by having problems breathing, but then dying at 80. Like, imagine that annoying mode of life that for 20 years you can't really walk too far, you kind of just have to be a bit of a slob, I guess I'll use that sort of terminology. I wouldn't see that as living for me. I'd be like, I wouldn't want to have that sort of life. So for me, it'd be like, okay, if I'm going to die at 80, awesome, die at 80, but live till 75 or like just be absolutely awesome, like peak performance, and then quickly die of whatever. Like if you get hit by a car, whatever it may be, just die. But
Juan's goal when he's 71, get hit by a car
and die. Before 75, before the precipice of it, I'll be like 74 years old, just jumping in front of like cars. Like, come on, hit me.
Yeah, nice.
But anyways, that was just a little thought bubble that was going around last couple of weeks in my mind.
Okay, cool. All right, so moving on to a separate topic. My brother recently, he's been talking a little bit about Andrew Tate, and I think the reason he likes Andrew Tate is he's a troll. And my brother, I would say, he's got a fair bit of trolling in him. I think he's more appreciative of the art of trolling than I am, for sure. Anyway, so he was describing how Andrew Tate uses the word free, and in particular, he was like,
free.
I could get a lot of things for free nowadays. I'm going to get and he said, I can get a Lambo for free. Now, what do you think? And what immediately pops up into your mind when I say that? How would he get a Lambo for free?
Perhaps that he would go and talk to someone, like a sponsor, and someone's just going to give him a Lamborghini. That's what I guess would come straight to mind.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I interpret it as well. Now, my brother was actually saying, no, the way Andrew Tate uses the word free is more in the way that we would use the word insignificant, I guess. So he is essentially saying,
like almost worthless. It's free.
Yeah, I've got so much money that buying a Lamborghini is free.
It's free.
Now I was like arguing against my brother about this for
interesting terminology.
It completely. I felt that was too liberal. I'm okay with people using words, however they want. That's fine. If you use something wrong, that's okay. I won't pull you up. But that use of it aggrieved me. It hurt my soul to hear someone butchering the word free like that.
We had this conversation a little while ago about terminology, and depending on the perspective, it does change. But no matter what perspective you look at, it's not free. Like, technically, it's not free. You do pay some sort of money for it.
Yeah, so this was the other thing I was going to bring up. So I was listening to my Dominican brother from another mother, Mr. Robert Sasuke. Check out the Value for Value podcast that comes out tomorrow. So I'm going to do it on some of his shows.
Tomorrow for the listeners at home right now?
Yep, cool. Yep. And so there was one episode he had, which was ¿Cuánto cuesta hacer un podcast?
¿Cuánto cuesta hacer un podcast? How much does it cost to do a podcast?
Pretty much. And he was really noting, like, it can be free, like, it can be sin costos, so it can be without cost, but there is always a price to pay. And so
I like that, yes.
Do do you believe free is never free, I guess? Or can you get something for free?
You can get something for free, absolutely.
Okay. How do you just kind of justify, like, how would you explain that?
I'll detail it as of no cost. So for me, I think it's that it's free by the terminology that there's no cost. But there is an expenditure that you can still have to take to obtain the object, the item, the asset, whatever. All right? There is nothing... I don't think there's anything that you can think of that doesn't have some exertion of energy to obtain it. I think you have to have it. But for free, I apply just to the cost aspect of it. And that might be in cost of whatever. It doesn't have to be monetary. It could be cost of anything else. Like, someone could give you a rock, and they've given you a rock for free, right? There's no cost involved to it. There's perhaps no... You don't have to pay them back in favor, in another rock, in whatever it may be. That's free. However, you do pay for it, for the exertion of energy that you have to reach out to grab the rock, or for the conversation that you might have to have afterwards, or precursor to it, or going to the location. So I think that's what I would say. That's what I would determine free. No cost.
Yeah. So when I think of it, it's kind of weird, because this is where I'm kind of being a hypocrite, and I'm using free. The word free in my mind triggers two different things. So if someone said, can free ever be free? And just as like a general one-off statement, I'd probably say no. I'd say there's always a cost of some sort. Mm-hmm. Yet when I drill down into it, I feel like, okay, you can actually get things for free because you can have different value systems. And this is why, the value system works. Our value that you place on an item might not be the same as me, and you might even place a negative value on something that I would place on something with a positive value.
Sure,
Hence the expression, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So in that case, that broke, and I'm pretty sure I've used this exact scenario before. If someone has a broken down old generator in their garage, they don't want it, like perhaps they inherited it from their late spouse or something like that, and it's just sitting there, and they're like, oh, it's just taking up space, like it's leaking oil on the garage, I don't want this thing. And then there's someone who's living more rural and is like, holy shit, and like, I would love a generator for free. That'd be awesome. You can have that trade, and it's a non-zero sum game. Both of you, they come and get the generator. You've got there's
benefits for both.
Yeah. So there's everyone wins in that situation. And in that case, I'd be like, yeah, sure, they got a generator for free, and this other person got someone to come and clean out a piece of shit from their garage for free. Both of them got something for free. So in that case, it's kind of like, well, yeah, free can be free, and in fact, a lot of times you can. But yeah, this is then where it's like, okay, but yeah, there was that energy expenditure. The guy would have loved the generator delivered to his house without him having to go pick it up.
Well,
so in that case,
but I guess in that example,
free,
I'm saying it's the no cost for me. It's no cost. So in that example as well, there's no cost to either of them in the sense of they're getting something that they want as a benefit, and they're not having to exchange anything that negatively affects them or negatively affects. So there's no cost. It's free. Yeah. So I would agree with that. I think you can have free stuff, but yeah, I wouldn't apply
Andrew Tate
free as I don't have to worry about the cost of it. Like that's ridiculous.
You cannot use free to just say something that you think is so small because you have a ton of cash. I don't think that's an acceptable.
Now we've talked about this sometimes in the past, but once again, I'm gonna throw this out there. Probably more to the universe, but to your thoughts as well, is the way that an Andrew Tate...
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. That's going to be my next point.
Yeah, because someone like an Andrew Tate, someone like Grant Cardone, right? Even Gary Vee. I'm going to go there, right? I cannot see myself ever, me Immortal Lights, ever being such a human that I would either stoop so low or stoop so wide as to try to be obnoxious, pretentious, or throw around ideas for the sake of arguments or for the sake of,
You're not going to pontificate one?
Pontificate. To me, it seems like I understand that the concept might be that you do bring more people in who can then maybe benefit from your content, your productions, the value that you can give them back. But because that just seems so detached from me in the future, I just go, that just seems like such a waste of energy in the immediate future for me. I'm like, I could never see myself doing something like that. But obviously it works, right? You know, everyone's talking about Andrew Tate. He's been around TikTok all the time now and become like really, really huge. Almost like, for me, like every 10th or 20th flick of the TikTok, I see Andrew Tate somewhere. Andrew Tate. And he's obviously got his website and education thing that he tries to educate people on his way, and etc. What, again, have your thoughts changed on that? On the, you know, being obnoxious, being loud, being known in that way, to seeing Andrew Tate make you go, I want to be like Andrew Tate?
No. That style is definitely not for me as well. If you know, whatever your assertions were just there, I multiply it by 10 for me, and that's how I feel on that subject, and even the kind of the clickbaity. I acknowledge I kind of need to use it a little bit, but not. There's levels to this game, and he'll be world class clickbait, you know, material. Troll provocateur, and I'll be like a little squid just in the ocean doing my thing.
Then again, like let's push it all the way forward to like 500 years from now. I would hate to be known, looked back upon, and been like, oh yeah, he was a like charlatan, that obnoxious person, that clickbait person that did this but didn't really deliver. Man, what a horrendous legacy to leave behind.
Well, if those people,
but it might not be all. And the craziest thing to me, right? We're saying this from like the perspective that we can only see, which is the media. Andrew Tate probably has accomplished lots of really good stuff.
He was a world-class kickboxer, man.
World-class kickboxer, made a lot of money through casinos, probably makes a lot of money through other means, probably is successful in many other ways that like heaps of people don't know about. But the only, like the everlasting thing that I think most people are looking at him at is, oh, we only know him as being like this pretentious type of person. And that might be him, totally, but it's just like that personality, and everyone's going to know him as that personality. I think moving in like 500 years in the future, I would love to just be known for, you know, he almost like, he said what he was going to do, and he did the things that he wanted to do.
Well, that's the thing. Do those people get remembered in the future? You know, the only person I can kind of think of being a troll like that is the P.T. Barnum, the real famous American kind of promoter, I guess, one of the very first ones. And I think he promoted kind of circuses and acts, and I think he was a bit of a scammy type of guy. But, you know, will that person get remembered, or will it be, you know, other people? Now, you need to breach the broad consciousness of the world in some way to be able to be known that far in the future. I mean, you can get remembered for being an amazing uncle, even great-grandfather or something like that, but you need to do something truly special, I suppose, to be remembered that far. But look, I actually wouldn't mind that much. Like, how people, once I'm dead, I'm kind of like,
do what you will.
People can remember me how I want. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't have any attachment to that. So if it came out, out afterwards, I'd be like,
I think less of an attachment, because I agree with you. Like, once you're dead, you're like, whatever. But more of the. If people are going to remember, I don't want to be remembered for being obnoxious or being clickbaity. I think more so of like, this is what he thought, and that is what he did.
Yeah.
Cool.
But to be fair to him, I think his personality seems to work with it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So it's
like he's doing something.
There are born trolls out there, so I won't be too harsh on him for being, you know, if you're a troll, you're a troll, man. Like,
what Karen's basically saying is that Andrew Tate's a piece of shit. So hopefully you take this into a little reel.
I am not the biggest fan of courses. People who sell courses. That there's something always kind of irks me about that, especially when it's a course on how to sell more courses.
Well,
or
what
how
about
to
this?
Market, you know?
What about this? Because so Lewis Mocker. So Lewis, I met him. You know, saw him on the street the other day. I asked him for a podcast a couple of times. He had retired from podcasting. So
okay,
damn Lewis. But it would be
one episode.
Yeah, and let's not go into any more of that. But he sells courses. So he originally was a stock trader. He made a lot of money from that. He did that, sell courses to like teach people how to do stock trading, whatever. Then he moved into kind of like the education space, and again built up his own like education platform, where in essence he helps people in a variety of ways. But one is he will help you scale your business, or help you find a business like to sell things online, digitally, or the like, something to that effect. And he actually made a post not too long ago where you could see his selling program is like, you pay X amount per month, you get to see all these videos and things that I've created. He's also got some tools, one of the end aspects is like if you've done all this, you can now share that idea, project, whatever with Lewis, and he'll go through it and advise you on what you can do. But you also form part of a group that catches up month to month to have conversations about whatever topic, right? Now, there's aspects to that I'm like, I can see that it can be exploited. Like, yeah, the learning aspect, I can get really gimmicky really quickly. I think for me, because it ties into like the group, you like get back as a group and you're kind of getting a little bit of learning and advice from someone who's essentially already like done those things. Yep, I can see some value there. But it's a fine line. Because in that example, I go between like, oh, I can see that he's actually doing something valuable and it could work. But then sometimes he might push a particular project, program, or product, and you'll be like, ooh, okay, that's now starting to sway towards the educator. Like, this is really valuable. But perhaps because I've never actually purchased any of those education things ever in my life, maybe there is some value. So, if a mere mortal like that there actually has purchased something, and you were like, actually, this was worth the $1,000 I paid to listen to this particular thing, okay, all right, maybe it was worth it, right? I mean, here we are standing here, we paid $40,000 to do an engineering degree.
Yeah, that's true.
We could have probably learned that ourselves.
30 something
thousand, right? So, we did that. So, I know, it doesn't seem like we did, but you do that to get a degree that, sure, it's much more openly applied everywhere, but like, who's to say that Grant Cardone University degrees are not as widely accepted as a QT degree? But QT shit. Maybe better than Griffith, but yeah, like you might get into more jobs than the Griffith degree, but it does depend. But yeah, if any mere mortal out there has taken a course and it was beneficial, I would want to know about it, because I would say it's few and far between.
Yeah, I actually haven't paid off my uni degree yet. Come at me, ATO. So thank you, beautiful Australian tax system.
You're going to be like, why does this dude not work for 6 years? But all of a sudden...
Solely just not to pay off my uni degree.
And that is, I believe... I know this is true for the US. I don't know about Australia. But it's a loan that never goes away, I believe. So even if you die, the loan gets passed to your family members.
Something like
that.
So
it goes through. So in 100 years, you're going to have this indexed loan of $500,000 and it's going to go to your brother. And he's going to be like,
sorry, bruh. Sorry, bruh. Well, hopefully by that time he's bought some Andrew Tate courses and is rich as fuck. So.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, courses can be very, very useful. Specific knowledge is great, but not for me. Like, I doubt, I can't see myself ever buying a
What if the 5 best handstands in the world got together, did a group?
Yeah, maybe.
$5 a month, you'll join our group where you can chat to us one time a month, and we'll let you in these videos that we've been doing of training.
Yeah, for sure. That would probably be worthwhile. Yeah. I was actually just watching the Miguel Santana interview I did, or conversation, this morning, and I was like, fuck, I'd pay 100,000 Satoshis to see this. It's a good conversation.
How much would you pay to watch us? Any more lights out there? Maybe 100,000 Satoshis per day is
minimum.
What you should be minimum. This should be done per minute.
Well,
streaming 100,000 sats. Can you stream 100,000 sats per minute?
I very much doubt it.
Try. Mere more lights out there. Try.
Yeah.
What's the max that you can stream per?
Well, I was going to say, like, I value 100,000 Satoshis a lot, and by my explanation just then, my treasure must be another man's trash. So get rid of your 100,000 Satoshis.
Exactly. Like someone out there
that's
must.
That's how it works, right?
Someone out there must be hating it. So go on.
Oh jeez. All right. So I've got one for you, which kind of links into that kind of offhand, casual comment you made about the universe, which is kind of a fun thing. And so, if you listened last week, you'll know that goals are on my mind, and in particular, as we mentioned, check out the long-term goals, the yearly goals for Juan 2023, the latest musings. But I'm kind of creating my own because mine started in October. Mm-hmm. And so, as usual, I was doing some on Thursday. I was kind of thinking, like, what am I roughly going to... what do I think I really need to work on this next year? And as usual, I was doubting myself. I was like, I don't know. Is that what I really want? Is this going to be a bad idea? Is this like yet another... setting myself a book philosophy goals and turns out it's like that's not the smartest thing to do. Not what I wanted to do. Yep. So I was doing this, but then I had this amazing Friday. So yesterday, for those at home, today's Sunday, so 2 days ago, and it was just awesome. Like, I came down here to the park. there was kind of a girl here where we normally do our handstand, so I introduced myself, like, hey, what's that book you're reading, blah, 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 blah. Chatted with her. Turns out she's a yoga teacher from Sydney. She's just up here for the weekend. Had a really cool chat with her. Then we had a bunch of people coming in to our group, some people I'd never met before, and so there was, I think, kind of 6 of us handstanding at one point.
Yep.
And as we were just there, this random dude, and I saw this out of the corner of my eye because I was in a handstand.
Yeah.
This random guy come up and just start handstanding and like
trying
do a
to do
handstand.
it,
Gets back on the ground, does a backflip, and we're all just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And so that was his literal introduction to the group. Handstand.
That's cool.
And then a backflip. And turns out it was this guy called Jan.
Jan.
And he was German. So I was like,
Jan.
oh, cool,
That's
German.
cool.
There was another one which was chatting with Brendan, and I'm like, he was the one who actually brought up, like, oh, we should bring up like a board or something and say, like, yeah, if you want to test out your handstand, come up here, or if you want a handstand tip, come and
that would be
come
super cool. Genuinely.
So this actually kind of melded in with a bunch of the goals that I was thinking of, which was kind of like meeting German people, forming groups, and also, talking to girls more, things like that. So it was. I had this thing where I was like, oh, this is a sign.
This is the universe calling.
The universe is putting me on the right path. I was thinking about this, and I was doubting myself, and yet, bam, one after another, within the space of 2 hours, all of these things kind of happened and made me think, oh, maybe this is the universe telling me. But do I actually believe that? Is this... I say it, but do I really believe it? You said it just before. Do you really believe the universe is...
I had this conversation, like, literally yesterday, actually.
Okay, brilliant. So my question is, what would it truly take for you to believe, if you don't already, what would it truly take for you to believe in a concept like karma or fate or destiny or the universe is telling you things? What series of events or proofs or mental paths would be necessary for you to be, not only just say it, kind of an offhand casual comment, but actually truly deeply believe it?
So I'll try to decipher it in this way. One, I think I believe in all of those concepts, but not in the way that people would immediately come to mind with them. So, it's meant to be, it's a universe putting things in your way, it's karma. I think I believe in all those concepts, but that they stem still from a biological, physical perspective, in the sense of, yes, it was meant to be, or it's a universe putting things in your way, but it is because there is ideas that you were putting into play a couple of days ago, and certain chemicals that are swirling around your mind, whether it could be...
So you're still largely deterministic.
Yeah, largely deterministic in the sense that, yes, there's chains of events that are happening in your brain that are causing all of these things, but I would still term it in my own way as, yeah, that's karma. In the sense of, you might do something, and, some people might be like, oh, that's karma. Like, you kicked this dog, and then someone came and kicked your head. That might be because, the thing that you did put someone else in a worse state, and that state might be a chemically induced state.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think you've done recently to have all this blood-letting karma going on?
Exactly,
with you?
right. Like, what have I done
how many
here?
children's I don't know, blood did you steal in the last year to
accomplish that? So there's probably some. But to I think your question, the way you're coming at it, is like to truly believe it. Be like, no, this is not deterministic. This is true, like the universe putting something to almost really to say it's like a religious experience levels.
To be to this level, so you're at a function, let's just say a work function, so it's kind of a fairly professional kind of thing. You don't want to be chucking out random crazy stuff that you perhaps believe. If you're truly a professional engineer and you're going to an engineering event, you probably don't want to be throwing out, I believe in chemtrails. I believe that the lizard people are our...
So what would it take to throw out karma is real?
So someone says something and you're like, yeah, well, that's just pure karma right there. You throw it out.
That's karma.
So strong that the universe directed that thing that just happened to you, that reason that you got a promotion at work, that was the universe working for you. And
I would have to And it
So
sounds
that kind
counterintuitive.
of like that level of commitment.
It sounds counterintuitive, but I think I would have to see irrefutable scientific evidence that is true.
Okay.
Like if there was irrefutable, somehow scientific in the way that it's like, oh yes, karma is a fucking chemical bond that this happened, and when you do this,
Gotcha. This is the
that karma gets to
molecule.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Something to that. Like it would have to be that level, like the Higgs boson, or something to do with gravity, and gravity actually having something to do, like in our dimension and different dimensions, like something. If that was the universe way of being, it's like there's a thread through, different quarks that actually, if that happens, this happens always, and so that was meant to happen because that train of story between quarks or atoms has to happen. I'll be like, okay, if that's proof, cool, I get it. I will say that and have that background to it.
Gotcha.
I think that's for me. What about for you?
Yeah, well, I listed a couple of things which I thought would be along the path, the kind of mental path that it would take for me to get to that level. This is me assuming, I currently, I don't have traumatic head injury. I don't have like a personality-induced change, which makes me a very different person from what I am. So it's just imagining like me predicting myself out into, let's just say, a couple of years in the future.
Sure.
So I was saying one thing would be that it would need to have no second order thinking. So this concept of karma would have to be super intuitive, and it would just have to be this equals like the someone says something, the reason you got this was because of this, and it would make sense. So for example, I'm in PB season again, Juan. I'm hitting some PBs at the gym. I was doing, like just everything's going great. Holds. I was doing handstand push-ups on the blocks. Managed to get 2 out of them in a row, which I've never done before. I was like, good. Now, this is so awesome. So all these cool things happening, and I am one day away. Well, this is going to be my last day of hitting the gym was yesterday.
Right.
And that could be me saying like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. I'm going to go back to more Raymond Park, and so not even in like outdoor area around South Bank. So like all these PBs I'm getting, they're kind of like being thrown in the wind because no one's going to see them. I'll know about them.
Sure. Okay.
But,
I gotcha.
It is nice to be able to be, when you're hitting your very peak, you're like, fuck yeah, yes, this is awesome. Yep. And then you realize, oh, well, and now I'm going to, be exercising on my own again.
Yep.
Now, I think the second order thinking is, okay, maybe this is a good thing, Kyron. Maybe you won't overstretch yourself now, even though you are doing really good. Maybe it is better for you to kind of be away from people so you don't get tempted to do some stupid shit and go for the 4th handstand push-up when you're completely burnt out on 3.
Yep.
So that's kind of the second order thinking. For this karma process to work, it would need to be, the first thought that you had, it's better to hit PBs when people are around. That would need to be the correct solution. So so it would need that for me, it would need to be like no logical thinking in a way. This equals this, and that was the first thing that came up in my mind.
Okay.
This is correct. Another one would be the first reaction is correct. Super intuitive and thinking wise. And like you said, usability. It would need to have that predictive process, and having it scientifically, kind of proven, I guess. This is where it's like, what's the difference between... So my dad always argues scientific, for him to really truly believe something, it needs to be in a peer-reviewed journal of kind of like the highest standard of that field.
Sure.
And probably multiple peer reviews as well, is what he would say. For me, I can accept a slightly less standard than that. Yeah. I can accept something as long as it physically works in my hand. So I don't care if the people behind it don't understand the reasoning. If people didn't understand,
well, here's an example.
Special relativity.
If you picked up an alien piece of a spaceship and it like did some crazy things and no one understood it, but it's running in your hands, you'd be like, 100%. Okay, I believe it.
That would be okay. That kind of physical real world proof. And so what I would require is maybe an app which would be like, okay, you know, I kind of continually think most things I do are a bad idea. This is just the way my brain works. It's kind of like a self-doubting mechanism. So I need an app to alert me like, oh, you're about to do something which is going to induce some serious karma coming back at you. Like, you're going to get fucked up, man. And I would need it to kind of like flash up on my phone or something and be like, or I could ask it, you know, is today's session and trying to impress for that girl over there
going to induce karma or not, or induce whatever.
And
that's a good point. That's okay.
It doesn't need to be...
That's a good idea.
It doesn't need to be like 100%. It could just be like, oh, you're in the danger zone. That's like a 90% chance.
I like this. Yeah, that's cool.
Of karma coming. And opposite way as well. You know, I'm gonna pick up some rubbish over there. Is that gonna actually have some good karma coming my way? Yeah, 90%. Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay if there's grey stuff. So if I ask it the question of,
what if it was odd stuff? What if it was really odd stuff? Like, you know, it would be like, do you want to help this lady across the road? And it was like, huge negative karma. Do not do it. You're going to have terrible karma.
Oh, yeah, that would be tough. Hey?
What would you do? Well, like, would you morally follow what you want to do? Or would you go, damn, I'm going to get bad karma. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, oh, man.
I punch someone in the head, huge karma. Like,
huge
incredible.
Karma.
You're like, is he the future Hitler? Yeah, that might be what it is. Then you have to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be a tough one.
Their terms and conditions would be like, might deviate by 100%.
Oh, yeah, the person who created this app would have to do some serious customer service of explanations. To be honest, man, I would be tempted to not do what I think is the right thing to do.
I think I would struggle to morally
If I knew there was a 90% chance of a bad thing coming my way for doing something...
You're not doing it.
I'd have to seriously consider not doing it. Like, it would have to...
Well, no, so, like, if I just saw this in an episode, but if it was like, you get into a car crash, you're with somebody else, and it's like, if I don't grab, like, say, your bag that's in there, rather than saving the person, like, if you don't do that, you're going to get, like, the app says, like, I don't know why you're looking at the app while you're in the car crash, but if you were to look at it, it would be like, whole life bad karma. Would you, like, let the person die so you don't get all your life bad karma?
Well, this is, I guess this is kind of like a mentality you need to have to be a hero in a way, which is...
That's a good point. You're prepared.
You accept that as a firefighter, you might fuck up your lungs.
Yep.
You accept that you might have just an absolutely horrific injury, burns, or things falling on you.
Yeah. You accept that you might be on calendars with your abs out. Like, that's just what it's... You got to accept
the worst thing ever.
The worst thing. But yeah, okay, you have to accept the karma that comes with that.
So I think in that case, yeah, it's I guess a moral question. Can you
be a hero?
You might... Good things might be happening around of you, but if your inner state is like... still remembering that you didn't save that lady when you could have, you know, all the good things don't mean shit really. So I suppose and this is where it's kind of like that tough split second decision. You need to have done the work beforehand to figure out to make that decision in the right moment, because you're not going to make it. You won't have time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to be like almost just a default thing that you do.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Do you? Another thing that's happened recently was kind of on this martyr aspect, or taking the hit for a greater purpose. I don't know if you know much about Salman Rushdie. You heard that name before? Okay, so he wrote a book in the, I'm going to say 90s, perhaps in the 80s, called The Satanic Verses. Very controversial in the time it was published because it was basically an attack on Islam. It was saying all of these things that are wrong with Islam. You know, it was kind of like him burning 10,000 Qurans at the same time. That's the
equivalent
impact. So he had a fatwa on him. You know, serious. His life was in had serious enough threats of people saying they wanted to kill him, that they would do bad things to him. Probably. Maybe to his family as well. I'm not sure if it extended out to that stage.
Yep.
Anyway, he was at some sort of event in the last day or two, and he got stabbed by a member of the audience. From the current, like, little headlines I've seen, he might lose an eye. He's on a ventilator, so probably fucked up his lungs as well. Got stabbed in the chest. And, you don't get stabbed out in random public. Like, I very much doubt David Sinclair's getting stabbed because of he's talking about anti-aging. So it's probably related to his book. Now, I'll leave open the possibility that it's just a crazed person? But, it kind of fits that it's something to do with him, saying bad stuff about Islam.
Sure.
Would you ever have the conviction to be the martyr in a way? So if you find out a truth of some sort, do you think would you be able to live your life where it's like, me and my family are potentially under threat of people wanting to kill us because I say what I believed is the truth, I suppose.
Maybe in certain extreme... It'd have to be really extreme. It would have to be one really extreme example. I wouldn't be able to do it for... if somebody actually told me that, like, actually Christianity is truth, and there was a Jesus and God, and actually it's all lies from whatever. But if I say that, someone's going to come and kill me and my family, okay, I'm probably... It's fine.
Here's maybe a more realistic scenario. You have some sort of incontrovertible evidence, at least on your part, that CrossFit is actually just kind of the worst thing in the world.
Sure.
Like
I wouldn't. Still, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be something that. Yeah. It would have to be something so.
You wouldn't dedicate yourself to writing a book about.
Not at all. Yeah. It has to be something so extreme, like something to the level of actually all of humans are being manipulated by implanted chips when you're born, and being controlled by like 10 people, like something like that. I'd be like, okay. That seems like it's just so big, it's so beyond who I am and like my family. It's like so massive that the risk is worth taking here at this point. Like that's got to be done. But I just can't conceptualize such extreme things that would make me do that. So for the most part, I'd be like, nah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Such is life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same, man. I'm not sure I have the...
I don't think I've got the, whether you call it the martyr or the heroic tendencies to do such a thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not willing to throw myself down for some sort of reason that I don't see as being like extreme. Like, some people, I think unless it would be like a family member, like I'd struggle to see myself running into a burning building to go up like 3 flights of stairs to maybe save somebody if they're like to pull them out. Even if I know that physically like I'm able to, but it's like dicey with like the percentages. I'm like, I don't think if I could. I don't think I'd actually just go in there unless if they're like someone so immediate that I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. That's sort of my thing.
That video I talked about of the Brisbane stabbing, had I been there randomly walking through Queen Street Mall, was it Queen Street Mall? Is it the Valley? The Valley, sorry. And I'd seen, 2 groups of guys fighting, and there was brief periods where they were, 5 meters, couple of meters away from each other. Would I have been willing to get in between them of any sort? No way. No way. So, yeah, it's kind of like, is that a weakness or is that a good thing as well? Because the martyr tendency can be weird. There are people who love being hated in a way.
Yeah, I'll say it's always a dichotomy. I think if you're at either end of the extremes, it's probably a bad thing. Like if you're not willing to sacrifice some part of yourself for anything, like anything at all, I think there's going to be some detriment to that. If you're willing to sacrifice yourself for everything, there's also going to be a detriment to that. Somewhere in the middle is probably good. I guess I was saying we're towards the extreme of sacrificing for everything. We'd probably be pulled back away from that quite a bit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say maybe in the middle. I don't know.
I think probably for me it'd be the root cause of this would be I don't have a tendency to believe anything truly. There's always kind of doubt, like I was mentioning, there's always some doubt in my mind. So even if I truly thought, this thing that's happening right now needs to be exposed to the world, needs to be told, and if I don't do it, it's just, kind of truly game over for me, humanity, my family, and things like that. There's still going to be some part of me which is kind of saying, are you just, hallucinating right now? Are you listening to voices in your head? Is your depiction of reality really true? I think I'm always going to have that, which would,
makes it hard to be able to be so.
Yeah, I just don't have the conviction. I think there's always just going to be something, like some niggling part of me, which is like, is this right? Is this correct? Are you doing the right thing? and that would
prevent you from going that path.
I feel like that's that would happen.
Good. All right, look, we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Immortalized, thank you once again for joining us for a meandering session out at the park. Look, how can you support us? There's really many, many ways. Today I'm just going to say share the podcast. We actually were talking to someone, as we said at the beginning of the podcast, with someone for about 20 minutes, and she mentioned that her brother and someone that she was going to start a podcast with, she'd want to get them to listen to it, and my recommendation there was share it with everybody. Share it across, and I also let her know, so hopefully I get a response from her, what her thoughts are of the podcast, being a new person to the Mere Mortals. Obviously, I would love to know who has been with us since the very beginning, apart from my mum and dad.
So the very episode I shared with her was monks just want to have sex with monks just
want to have sex with monkeys.
With monkeys.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that podcast, go listen to that one, because it's a good hoot about the Bhagavad Gita and what you can learn there. Look, if you haven't gone back in time to listen to all of the podcasts of the Mere Mortals, look, that's fine. My other recommendation is sometimes go to our website. We've got a little search toolbar there. Find a random topic you might want to think about.
Whatever you're interested in. If you like CrossFit, type in CrossFit.
You'll find us conversing about that.
Something will pop up.
Exactly.
And if,
at this point in time, I reckon there's going to be a lot, you'll find, there's probably not going to be many things we haven't talked about.
There's not, I'm the difficult thing is it's searching what I've written in the descriptions.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about, space and Bill Gates before, but I might not have written down Bill Gates in the actual description.
True.
So,
you'll find a lot doing
mileage
that.
may vary.
Exactly. That's true. But beyond that, go share us. Go share us around.
Immortalspodcast.com is the website.
Immortalspodcast.com, and feel free to share it across the friends. So, I would recommend if you could share it to one other friend. That would be always appreciated.
100%.
And again, we're going to call it out. Bootstrams, stream through some Satoshis.
We enjoy that.
Go to Fountain app. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. But for now, Immortalized, we're going to leave it there. I hope you have enjoyed. One out.
Going out.
Bye.